Hi guys, Stephen here, and this is my first live stream here on YouTube, and I want to talk. I want to really talk specifically about wrestling, and the main thing that I'm going to discuss about is the Extreme Rules pay per view from last night, and so I'm going to go through the matches, go through my thoughts on each match, and yeah, I'm just going forward now. I'm gonna do a few more of these, videos, live streams, just giving my thoughts, and it could be a whole, for anything from from movies to music, any kind of sport. From I might even talk about football or soccer, for my American viewers. But yeah, I'm just gonna start trying to create a bit more content. So I just thought I'd put out. Give my thoughts on the Extreme Rules, and I'm going to give my thoughts on a few other things wrestling related. So here we go. Let's make a start to this. So the opening match of Extreme Rules, it was a 6-man tag. It was the U-Day. It was so Big E, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and they were against Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos. Well, first off, I don't know, man. I just feel that kind of like this 6-man tag that was just kind of like thrown together. There's no proper kind of like storyline there. I don't know. I was just a little bit disappointed with that. And I can understand in a way because it was just not even, was it 14 days ago? Big E, he wins the title on Raw. And I understand why they're doing this. It's this is kind of a reactionary move on WWE's part with with the success of the All Out pay-per-view AEW with everything that was going on there, the tag match, the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks, Brian Danielson. I'm always getting that name mixed up. He is now in the AEW. And Adam Cole is also in AEW as well. So, WWE realize now that, AEW is coming for them, so things are, there's a lot of things now that are made with creative and hopefully it will be for the better. But anyway, this 6-man tag, it was okay. And I suppose to have this match to start the show, it was all right. The crowd were very lively for this match. The crowd, I think overall, though, throughout the whole show, the crowd, it was a good crowd, and throughout this match, I noticed, I think 3 guys really stood out to me. I think Styles, he looked good. He seemed to be really enjoying himself. Xavier Woods, I thought he looked quite good when he was near the end, when he got in. There was a hot tag, and then also Big E was very, he was really impressive. So in the end, U-Day win, and at the end, what was it again? I think AJ Styles tagged in just as Lashley, it looked like he was going to go and finish the job. AJ Styles gets up. He's going to go for the phenomenal forearm, but then Lashley kind of tags him, then he kind of pushes him, and there's a little bit of, but then in the end, though, yeah, U-Day pick up the win. And I don't know what this is going to lead to now. This is going to be, this could lead to possibly a feud with Styles and Lashley. I don't know what that, maybe that was part of the reason for that, but I don't know. Overall, do we really care about AJ Styles and Lashley in a feud? I think not. But who knows? Maybe they could get a storyline out of this. They could have a couple good matches out of this. But I don't know. Again, it's like this is just the thing with WWE. It's a lot of this just booking that I don't know, just there's not much. It's, you hear the stories about every Monday, in the late afternoon, Vince is tearing up the script and there's all these different rewrites. It's just, and it's just quite annoying when you think, wow, it's like, well, if they don't care, why should we care? And that's the thing that kind of, and I honestly, I've not really been into WWE that much for like the past year and a half, ever since, when the pandemic hit. And, it's been tough. I mean, I haven't really followed any of the, I didn't follow any of the Empty Arena Raws, didn't follow any of the Thunderdome Raws or SmackDowns. And I'm just kind of trying to get a little bit back into it now. I've been starting to watch AEW more, and I've been kind of enjoying that. But, hopefully something will change. I mean, I really hope, changes will be made to the product. And I'm talking WWE, for the better. I really hope so. Really do hope so. So the next match, it was the Street Profits against the Usos. And I think this was this was a good match. This was a good match. You had Montez Ford. He was injured from SmackDown. I think it was the the ribs. They were damaged. So you had the Usos throughout the match. Working, and that's what you got to do. There's going to be that consistency, obviously. You know what I mean. You can't just like all of a sudden, you've done this. You've hurt him, on Friday and SmackDown, and then all of a sudden, he's not selling it. That can sometimes be a problem with wrestlers. The modern day, that they're not selling right. But this was fine though. I think one thing I noticed in this match, and I took a note of this. Pat McAfee on commentary. Pat McAfee, he had some. What was the dig again? He had some dig about how America destroyed, I guess, the European team in the Ryder Cup. He's a proud patriotic American. I must give Pat Matt McAfee credit. I think overall he's very good. Very enthusiastic, really does, get the product, get it over, get talent over. I think with Pat McAfee, I mean, he seems like a cool guy, like a real enthusiastic kind of charismatic guy. The thing for me about Pat McAfee is that he's into wrestling, but like he's maybe kind of that happy-go-lucky wrestling fan where he's just going to accept all this shit and think, oh yeah, it's all right. And I used to kind of be like that when I was a teenager, but then after a while I realized, hang on a minute, this shit isn't as good as it used to be. And I was quite fortunate. I kind of grew up at a time when, the product was its most popular, the Attitude Era. That's when I got into it. But I think McAfee kind of just accepts a lot of this. But, McAfee is a guy now, he's now an announcer. He's been an announcer for 4 or 5 months now. And, he's getting paid. So you can't really, crap on him for that. But in the end, a bit near the end, it got very lively, and there was a couple of false finishes in this match, and the crowd were getting into it. There was a little bit of and this is awesome chant, yeah. And then you had the Usos, they super kicked Dawkins, they did the splash, but they kicked out. But yeah, I mean the thing with this is awesome chant though, that's been done to death. It really has been. That shit's gotta stop. I mean, the first time I heard it, and maybe it had been done on indie shows or Ring of Honor or whatever, but the first time I heard it was like 15 years ago, and that was the One Night Stand. That was the Edge Mick Foley match against Dreamer and Terry Funk. That was the first time I heard it, and it felt so right at that moment in the match. It was really a good, entertaining match. But now, this is awesome chant. It's been done to death. It really has been. But in the end, there was another false finish. The Street Profits were about to win. Then the Uso broke up the count. And you kind of know that it's just from the way the camera angle is. You kind of know, they're making it look like, oh, no, that's it, they've won. And then out of nowhere, boom, the Uso breaks up the count. That's just how it is, though. That's, the production with WWE, got to give Kevin Dunn credit for a lot of that. But I mean, Montez, amazing athlete. But one thing I think with the Street Profits is I don't know what it is. It's something with their gear that I'm not a fan of, or it's almost like Montez Ford's the guy that should be more jacked, and Dawkins should be more shredded. That's just something I've noticed. But in the end, though, the Usos, they win, they retain the title. I think it was Dawkins. He kind of took the bullet for Ford, and got to the double super kicks. But then, in the end, eventually Usos hit the double super kicks on Ford, and then did the double Uso splash to score the win. But overall, good match, decent. It was good. The both teams really good. Overall, like I said, good match, no complaints. So the next match for the women's title, it was Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. And now, I mean, the real thing for me, the problem I have with Alexa Bliss is just her still doing this Bray Wyatt gimmick. And Wyatt was it released now about 2 months ago, and now it just doesn't for me feel right that this is a guy who's probably created this gimmick. He created it. Sure, the writers, WWE writers probably helped him out a lot with it. But it's just something weird to me. It just doesn't seem right that she's doing this gimmick. It's not her gimmick, But the build up for this, I mean, it's been okay, I suppose. And on they showed you the video package, they showed you on Raw, Charlotte and Alexa going back and forth. And I think the thing with Charlotte is her character, and Charlotte's, I'm sure got some pull on how she's booked. And Charlotte's not going to be, acting afraid of a doll like, Shayna Baszler was, or kind of showing fear like I guess Doudrop was, or even Marie. She's not going to be doing that crap. So she was kind of, and this is all kind of in character, hey, Alexa, you're behind this bullshit. And that's the thing. Charlotte's not going to, sell for this crap, and I can't say I blame her. And then, you had the whole thing about the woo chants, and then the whole, well, that's not really yours. And then she's like, well, Charlotte's like, you don't talk to me about originality. So, a couple of digs there. And I think they were kind of letting that after the whole, Britt Baker, Ruby Soho exchange from, it was on Rampage. So, I understand that. But let's get to the match, though. I think overall the match was longer than I thought it would be. I just had it in my mind that it was going to be kind of a shorter match. Something to me about when Alexa came out and she has that music, I felt like they were piped in cheers. That was just in my opinion. Charlotte, to me, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of her look. I think to me this is way too much kind of like heavy makeup there. I don't know what it is with these women who really look good naturally, and then it's just they get all this heavy layers of makeup slapped on. And I noticed that with Kendall Jenner, she had her look from the past years. So I don't get it, ladies. Go on. This is my opinion. Don't try and cancel me or say I'm super offensive. It's just an opinion. But overall, though, was the match? Yeah, it was an okay match. Fans seemed to be behind Bliss. There was "Let's Go Bliss" chants. I don't think they were piped in, but again, it wouldn't surprise me. I just a couple of things that I just didn't really, to me, make kind of sense. It was just this move that Charlotte tried to get Alexa, and it was just the way she was doing it. And for someone as so tall as Charlotte is, and for someone like Alexa, who's just like literally 5 foot tall, and then she's trying to get her in this move, and it's the way she's hooking her with her arms. It was kind of like similar to the way Christian gets him set up for the Unprettier. It just looked weird to me. Like, you shouldn't be doing that with somebody. You shouldn't have to do that with someone when you're like 5, 10, or 11 and she's freaking 5 foot tall. It's unnecessary. That's just me. But overall, yeah, I mean, it was okay, the match, and there was a move, I guess Alexa kind of hit like a sunset bomb that was almost, to me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it was kind of like a modified Canadian Destroyer. Not exactly a Canadian Destroyer, but kind of close, similar to that. I'm not sure, but yeah, the match went on longer than expected. But then in the end, Charlotte won. Charlotte won with the natural selection, and then after the match, she takes the doll, Lily, and then she rips the doll to pieces. And then Alexa is on the attack, and at this point, I think, well, is this just a way of keeping Alexa strong? Attacking her and meeting the shit out of her after the match. But then in the end, Charlotte got the upper hand, and then she flew Alexa right. She went right by the. She sent her over the announce table, And then that was that. And then in the end, Alexa, she was in hysterics. She was all over like greeting and over the doll being ripped up. And then you had the fans, they were trying to thank you, Lily. It's like, oh gee, can you be any more lame? But there's one positive to get from that, from all the people who, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like the gimmick Alexa's doing, is that this could be the end of the gimmick. And Wrestling News, Wrestling Inc., they're reporting that this looks like this could be the end of the gimmick and she's going to be getting some time off. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this is the end, and I don't know, she could a new gimmick, maybe a new character, or she could go back to the the whole, was it the god? What she used to be called, the goddess or whatever it was, or the old music. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But overall, it was an okay match. You had also there was a couple of other things. You had a Lashley promo that was after Street Profits Uso. So the first line that Lashley says in this promo, "Big E, you're a coward," and that's just, come on, man, that shit's lame. Come up with something a bit better than that. And then we're supposed to be like, oh, you're a chicken shit, Big E. We're supposed to be like, ooh, just like, come on, writers, come up with some better material. Just please, and this is the point that Russo talks about that a lot. I follow Russo, and Vince Russo says all the time, like, that sounds so lame when you call someone a coward. And you know what? I've got to agree with him. It is lame. Sometimes, it depends if you're a real heated argument or something going on. Yeah, you could say that, but just in that moment when he said, "Big E, you're a coward," it sounded so lame. But Lashley, he's challenging Big E to a title match, for a rematch on Raw. So yeah, and then there's an ad for Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel will be coming up, the Saudi Arabia. So yeah, they're taking that Saudi Arabia money, and there's been a lot of controversy about all that stuff it's gone down the past 3 years, but yeah, I mean the Crown Jewel match, that'll be the big Roman Brock match. Those guys will get a big 6-figure payday for that. And you have the King of the Ring, and then I think also there's going to be the Queen of the Ring final. I imagine this is going to be the final. I mean, you obviously in that country out there, Saudi Arabia, it's very much they're not big on the women being there. They're not big on the women dressing obviously in a certain way. They got to have kind of the hair tied back. They got to be fully clothed. And then there was the whole thing where they had that advert playing when you've got like Carmella, was it in the first Saudi Arabia show, and it's for the house, and then she's twerking. It's like, I understand you've got to do these adverts for like, you're promoting other shit. It's on the network, but then whoever made the decision to do that when you're showing it on the screen to the Saudis, I mean, what the hell? Are you an idiot? Was that just a total mistake? I mean, what the hell are you doing? I mean, but they've had these issues with the Saudis, but they're still at the end of the day working with them, and they're getting money and they're getting paid. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But so then after the Charlotte Alexa match, you had Paul Heyman in a segment backstage. He was on the phone to someone. Kayla Braxton interrupted him. And, they've got a better, they have their a lot of different stuff that they do every Friday in SmackDown, and these guys have got chemistry. They're entertaining. Heyman is a bit over the top. But he is funny. I think the smart marks give him much more credit than he deserves for being this great guy that's a promo guy or a manager. I mean, he's good. I wouldn't say he's the best, because a lot of the shit with Heyman, it's the same old shit. It's the same old shtick. But, Heyman's a good bullshitter in many ways, and that's been well documented, Heyman was kind of funny, the whole thing. What was he saying? Oh, you jealous? I'm talking to another woman, or was that what the line was? But it was what it was, and Heyman, and then the Usos, they are celebrating, and then Heyman, goes off with them. But it was what it was. So then you had the triple threat match. You had Damian Priest defending against the Sheamus, and then Jeff Hardy for the US title. So I don't know if the plan was always, it might have been just to do the rematch with Priest and Sheamus, and then Jeff Hardy there was this whole backlash online with Jeff Hardy just being another guy in one of those the 24/7 segments. So and then I think the fans are listening, and then all of a sudden, Jeff Hardy he beat Priest in a match on Raw, and that's what got him in the triple threat, or did he beat Sheamus? And I'm not quite sure, but he's in this match, and then Hardy's over. He has that "No More Words" theme that he had about 10 years ago, and then that's a good theme. And Hardy will always be over. He'll probably even be over as hell when he's like 52, 53. I mean, he just has that connection with the fans. But yeah, I mean, it was an okay match. I was kind of nodding a bit off as this was going on. Overall, though, it got exciting near the end. It looked like Hardy was maybe going to win it. I think, what was it again? Was it Sheamus hit the brogue kick on Priest? Hardy, then he tossed Sheamus out of the ring, covered Priest, but it was a 2 count. But in the end, it was Priest. I think Priest won via roll up, and then that was that. Priest retains the title, and Priest still got an ovation, but I don't think it would have been quite the reaction that Hardy got if he had won the belt. I mean, the fans would have been all for that. And then in the end, Hardy kind of endorses Priest, and I mean, he raised his hand and he's clapping for him, and yeah, I mean, at that moment, I'm saying to myself, turn heel turn. I always thought like a heel turn was coming, but then. Nah, and why not? I mean, I don't think Hardy's ever really been a heel, not in a singles run in WWE. Anyway, I know he was a heel when he was in TNA. But yeah, but it was Priest won in the end. He rolled up Sheamus to score the victory. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was an okay match. I wouldn't say it was nothing super special, but it was an all right match. So after this, you had Big E now. He's doing his little promo, and promo was okay. I mean, he sounds a little bit like a preacher, but then he does the kind of funny ha-ha stuff, but then he accepted the challenge, and it's going to be, and then they made it official. They said it's going to be the title match, Big E Lashley, and that will be on Raw tonight, and that'll be the thing that opens the show. And I'm guessing, this is probably another, reactionary move on their part. There, you see what happened with Omega and Danielson, Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson on Dynamite. That was the match to open the show, and a lot of people would have thought, really, is that the match to open the show? But that's what they did. They did that, and it was, what was it again? It was like a 45-minute time on the draw or something like that. But it was a long match, and I think this is, and why not change up? Why not have a match every now and then? You sometimes it gets a bit too much the same formula all the time of just, the opening promo of the heel coming out and then the face interrupting him, or the face coming out and then the heel interrupting them. It gets a little bit, the same old kind of thing. So yeah, why not change it up? So yeah, now you have. Well, then they showed you the pre-show match. I didn't watch the pre-show, but it was Liv Morgan against Carmella. Then you had Carmella at the start. She's trash talking. She's like, "Oh, I'm hot and you're not," and then kind of lame. And then Liv Morgan though, she's going there beating the crap out of her. Apparently, the whole storyline that she maybe had broke Carmella's nose or some shit. But in the end, Liv Morgan won the match, and Liv Morgan seems to be quite over. Like, people are all for that, wanting her to get a push. And then it seems that she's quite popular with her amongst her peers backstage, the other girls. So hey, I have no problem with Liv Morgan. She looks nice, she looks cute, okay in the ring, and she's probably more of a face, I guess, than a heel. I never really felt like she was like a real bad heel when she was, in the Riot Squad. So yeah, let's see, all the best, Liv Morgan. So then you had this would now be the second last match. You had so it was Becky Lynch against Bianca Belair, and that was for the SmackDown Women's title. For me, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen that much of Bianca Belair. I want to like her, but I think with Bianca Belair, there's just a bit too much kind of like I don't know. It's just too much of that typical the way the baby face acts, like the old school white meat kind of baby face, like the whole just smiling, like you're almost just happy to be there, and that's kind of what she was doing. I just thought it was a bit corny, the whole thing when she's whipping her hair and she's smiling coming out of the ring after losing the title in about 30 seconds. I'm not really for that. I think you got to show it a little bit, pissed off, hacked off, but now you've got Becky as a heel, and I think she's quite. I know that she wants to be a heel and she wants to get real heel heat. Not that she didn't before, but I think it was just the whole thing of when she, she turned on Charlotte after that match at SummerSlam when Charlotte won the title, and then the crowd went ballistic. Went ballistic for the person who was supposed to be the turn, going to be a heel. But now I think maybe with Belair, who the fans really like, it might work a bit now though. That it might last this heel run with Becky Lynch and. She's trying little things now. The ridiculous, the bloody long coat and stuff like that, and the ridiculous big ass shades, and but I think stuff like that will overall work after in the end. That fans will not like her. And maybe not so much that it's because they don't like her, but they like Belair and they want Belair to get back and be champion. But in this match, yeah, I mean, for me, first off, I'm not really too sure about Becky's new look, the whole in white, with the whole hair tied back, but hey, that's her. I guess she has a large part to her decision to change up her look. And I know Rollins was really had that white look before it was all white. Was that the one I think he faced Cena, SummerSlam 2015? But anyway, Becky's, she was getting some decent heel heat, very much like, and McAfee was kind of just mimicking, shut your face, and that real kind of, she's still got the fairly thick kind of Irish accent. Irish people, I don't think they ever really lose their accent, I hope I don't lose my accent too. Maybe I'll hope. But anyway, overall, yeah, it was okay match. But yeah, in the end, it ended up the DQ finish. I predicted the DQ finish. But yeah, some people might say it was a surprise that Sasha Banks came out just when it looked like I think she had her up for her finishing move. I don't know the name of it, Belair did, but then they ended up Sasha Banks ended up attacking Belair, and Lynch gets back up and she's kind of like the thumbs up like like we're good, are we? But then in the end, Sasha attacks her. But I think it's still though with Sasha, it looks like Sasha. I don't think it's gonna be a case of Sasha will be a face or even be a tweener. It looks like she'll still be a heel. But I don't know what happened though. If it was scheduled to be, obviously, it was scheduled to be the match for the title, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks at SummerSlam, but then something happened. Something went wrong, and I don't know. And then it was like the house show the week before, Belair and Banks were both taken off it. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe I don't know. Sasha's maybe had COVID. I don't know. It's been very much hush hush, as to what the reason was why she was away. But overall, this could be interesting. Who knows what will happen the next month? It will be it will be a triple threat. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, I guess so. But I think with Becky Lynch, I would like to see, I wouldn't mind seeing Becky Lynch and Seth on screen as the heels. I know they were saying before that, hey, it just didn't work us on screen when we were baby faces, but you know what? Maybe it would work as if you're heels. Maybe it would. And then who knows? You could have. Seth's still kind of, he's in the program still with Edge. It looks like they're going to have their third and final match, and I imagine Seth will end up going over, I would think. But you could have, a week or two before the big match, you could have some, interaction, some segment in the ring. You could have something there where Beth Phoenix, she's under contract. She's commentator for NXT. Have her, bring her in. You have Becky Lynch, and they get in each other's face. You could maybe do, I don't know if you'd have an intergender match, but you could do something there, a bit of interaction, a bit of back and forth, which I think would be interesting. But yeah, I got the prediction right. I predicted it would be a DQ. I didn't know that Sasha would get involved, but I thought DQ probably would be a DQ ending because I think you want to keep Lynch, keep the belt on Lynch, but at the same time, you don't want to have her win it though, win the match clean. and then that will devalue Bianca Belair. So overall, I think DQ was the right call, and yeah, I mean overall the match it was okay, and the crowd was very lively for it. So now, last but certainly not least, the main event. You had, and this was the only Extreme Rules match. It was Roman Reigns and Finn Balor for the Universal title. Overall, I mean, and I thought the match was it was a good match. I'm really impressed with the work that Roman's been doing. Roman has, I think to me he's getting good heel heat. I like the trash talking. I mean, Roman's just great. I mean, Roman's just a great showman, really is. There was, the whole stuff with Roman going in the crowd, and then he had the mask, and I don't know if that was personally his call to do that, or if that's just the whole thing of, hey, I don't want to catch anything off these fans, these scumbag fans, I don't know what, but I thought that was a nice touch, though. And then also the whole thing at the start with the kendo stick, and then the demon had, was it, 3 or 4 kendo sticks all tied up. I like that a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you had Finn Balor, and then he kicks out the spear, and then but it was right the way he kicked out. He did it it was a low blow, and I guess that was something I wasn't aware of this. That Reigns had done something exactly similar to him a few weeks back, but in the end, Balor hit his move. Was it the coup de grace on Reigns? But then the Usos, they ran in. I thought maybe the Street Profits would come out and stop the Usos. But then they stopped the pin. But then Balor, he was able to fight back, and then I think he was powerbomb Jay through the table. But then in the end, Reigns speared Finn Balor right through the barricade. And that got a holy shit chant. And then you had the demon, the boof, 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 that heartbeat effects, and then you had the red lighting, which I thought was really cool. And then all of a sudden, Balor he's coming back to life, and then the lights dim red, and then you've got Balor just beating the shit out of Reigns, and then he drop kicked Reigns and went through the table, and then you've got the music playing. And who knows, maybe that was a Paul Heyman idea. Because it reminded me very much with the music playing. It was like when Jack in ECW, when he would always have that song. It was what was it? Something natural, something or other. It was Natural Born Killers. It was a Dre song. So maybe that was a kind of like a Jack tribute. But I like that. I thought it was cool. And then in the end, I mean, for a split second, you're watching this and you start to think, "Holy shit, could he actually win?" It's like, is he gonna win? I mean, and then in the end, he goes up to the top, and then boom, the rope collapses, and then right away the music stops. So, the top rope broke, and then in the end, Reigns hits the spear, and he pins Balor, and he retains the title. So now, I think a lot of people online have been shitting on this. Certain people that have, one particular guy that likes to shout and rant a lot, and he has quite a big following. And he's been very critical, and he's kind of made a name from criticizing divas, and then they'll respond. But he was shitting all on this. But to me, I mean, I thought that was quite a cool thing. I thought, I thought it was quite cool. It was the whole thing with the demon, his character, and I thought it was a nice touch with the effects and then the music playing. I had no problem with this at all. I mean, in the end, Balor got that big, main event pay-per-view match with Reigns. I mean, I don't know. A pay-per-view like Extreme Rules, I don't think it's like he's going to be getting a big payday. I don't think it's not like a WrestleMania match. But, I mean, yeah, the Demon, I think the Demon's only ever lost twice. I think it was the first time was Samoa Joe in NXT, and this is the second time to Reigns. So, I mean, a lot of the Finn Balor fanboys won't probably be happy with that. But in the end, Balor, I mean, is it really believable that he'd be able to beat Roman Reigns for real, to beat Samoa Joe for real? I don't know. But I think overall, it was a good match. I don't think you can really complain about it. And give props to the crowd. They were, they were throughout throughout the show, the crowd were really good. They were really into it. But Roman, I mean, they're just going to continue. I think they're just going to continue, to book Roman strong, and that's. I mean, I can't I mean, who knows how long he's going to be champion for? This the only person I could see maybe beating him would maybe be Lesnar. I can't really think of anybody else. I mean, would he job to Big E? Would he? I don't know. Maybe would he put over McIntyre because he's yet to really put McIntyre over in that big match? Maybe, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, and obviously there's all that speculation that they won Roman and The Rock to wrestle at WrestleMania, and that would obviously be the big money match. I mean, that would be that's the kind of big match that you need for the the biggest show of the year. And we'll see. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that storyline, and I don't know. I noticed for watching clips of SmackDown here and there, it's just like the way the Roman kind of treats the Usos, like even at one point getting their names mixed up and stuff like that, thinking that Jay was Jimmy or the vice versa. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's obviously stuff like that if The Rock was to come back, at first it could appear that, hey, Rock and Roman are all cool and they're shaking hands and hugging each other, but then Rock gets into the promo and then he kind of just talks about how kind of like pissed off he is, like with the way Roman's been acting, and kind of like, and say, well, hey man, you've been making out like it's all been about family, but really you've been disrespecting, spitting in the face of our family. And then you get that whole moment like that, ooh, and then you build that tension there with Rock and Roman. I mean, I have in my head kind of like a picture of how things will play out when it comes to the match and kind of what will happen at the end. But who we'll see, because then I think Roman's been so good as a heel, but I think at the same time though, WWE will probably want to turn him face again. But who knows? We'll see. But again, Roman Reigns Rock, that would be, I mean, that's a match that's gonna, no matter if you're a smart fan or a casual fan, you're going to have an interest in thinking, wow, how's this what's going to go down? How's it going to play out? So, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about a couple of other things here. The draft coming up. I think it's is it SmackDown on Friday? That's when you'll start to see. You're going to start to see you find out who's been drafted from Raw to SmackDown. I mean, I'm not that clued up on guys and like the product and know exactly, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? But for me, I mean, I've got a note here of a couple of predictions that I made. And so the predictions I have for the draft, and I'll tell you the predictions I have for the people that I think could go from Raw to SmackDown. I mean, I would say probably Drew McIntyre would go from Raw to SmackDown. Drew hasn't been on SmackDown yet. He was called up to the main roster. What was it, 2018? That's when he started tag teaming with Ziggler. And I don't think he's made appearances on SmackDown here and there, but never officially been a member of the SmackDown roster. So I could see that with Drew. I think something has to change with Drew. I don't know, maybe a heel turn again with Drew. I think probably Drew would be better as a heel. I mean, and I understand like when they turned him face initially, and it was kind of like a gradual turn. But I think overall, to me, the face turn didn't make sense. Just from 1 minute to be going from the Scottish psychopath, and then you're about everybody and you want to be everybody's friend. I just didn't really understand that. I think overall, yeah, he would be better as a heel. And I'm sure he'd probably prefer to be a heel, So yeah, I would say McIntyre at SmackDown. Also, I would say maybe Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley. I think Lashley's never been on SmackDown. He's probably rarely ever made an appearance on SmackDown. Maybe he's never once been on SmackDown, because I know Lashley was when he it was the Raw after WrestleMania. That would have been 34, 2018. And then he showed up on Raw, and he's been on Raw ever since. Maybe change something up with Lashley. Maybe you could have Lashley as a babyface. Who knows? He could be the babyface, and if he's going to feud maybe with AJ Styles, who knows? Also, I think maybe it's possible that Damian Priest, the US champion, he could go to SmackDown. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Also, maybe if after what happened at the pay-per-view, the whole miscommunication, whatever thing, conflict thing with AJ and Lashley, it's possible AJ Styles will go to SmackDown. And, if he's going to SmackDown, then who knows? Maybe Omos will go with him. So, yeah, those are maybe my predictions for that, for talent going from Raw to SmackDown. When it comes to guys going from SmackDown to Raw, I mean, who knows? Maybe Edge will go to Raw. Maybe Edge will then go to Raw, and then Edge will, start off with a new storyline angle once this storyline feud with Rollins is complete. So I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that Edge he'll get drafted to Raw. I think Priest, the US champion, is going to get drafted SmackDown. I would say Nakamura then will get drafted to Raw. And I don't think Nakamura has been on Raw, so that would be a good one. I don't think. And then, if Nakamura's going to Raw, you could have Rick Books, the sidekick guy, the guy that does that whole thing with the guitar, have him go there with him. Also, I think, who knows? Maybe they're really going to shake it up, and maybe Roman could go to Raw, and then you could have Big E and SmackDown. I don't know. Who knows? I think Roman, they'll keep Roman SmackDown personally, and then if Roman's going to be in SmackDown and Big E, you have him on Raw. So yeah, that's that. Also, I want to speak a bit about AEW and just give you some thoughts on AEW. For me, with AEW, this is the thing I have. And it's good. I actually look forward now to watching Dynamite and Rampage every week. I haven't had that feeling with Raw and SmackDown for a while, man. I'm probably going back to like 2013 time. I had that feeling with watching Raw Raw mainly. I wouldn't really watch SmackDown much, but I'm starting to really enjoy watching Dynamite and then also Rampage to see how things play out, to see with the storylines, to see these guys. Now you CM Punk, he's in AEW, and now you've got these guys. MJF, you have guys like Ricky Starks, you have guys like Hobbs. There's a lot of young, promising talent in the company. I think some things have gone wrong. They've had some misfires. I feel that the Pinnacle and Inner Circle feud wasn't the best. I feel, I don't know, man. It was just, I feel that the mistake was made there I think that should have been the blow-off match, the match at the very end the feud, the blood and guts match, that War Games match. The whole thing of Jericho at the end winning, I don't know. I feel really that was in that feud. The heel should really be winning, and MJF. That's the thing. You remember last that MJF, beats Jericho. Yeah, it's just my opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would agree. MJF, he can recover. He's a talented guy. He's like 25 years old. There's so many years ahead of him in his career. So I'm sure, MJF, he'll be okay though. He'll be all right. But yeah, I think another mistake AEW made was having Hobbs lose to Punk so soon. With all the different people that Punk could have worked with, I don't know about if a big dude like Powerhouse Hobbs should be, doing the job so soon. If anything, Hobbs should be beating Punk. And I'm sure, down the line, probably Punk and Hobbs will have a rematch and then Hobbs will win. But I don't know. I just think as well. And then you had Hobbs, didn't he job to Christian? And then that was a while back. It was kind of, they did it in a way where it was like, boo, just right out of nowhere, Christian hit him with that finishing move, the Unprayer. But a guy like Hobbs, yeah, he's got a lot of potential. I think, yeah, especially a guy like Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks just has that look and, the charisma and just everything. And he's good in the ring. And a lot of people compare him to The Rock. And I don't think he's really big on that. And other people around him, Taz. And I mean, I don't know. It's but I mean, he has that kind of look because like a bit like The Rock from the early days when you've seen those photos of Rock when he had the black turtleneck. There's that kind of similarities there. But yeah, Ricky Starks is somebody. I mean, I think with Starks, so if he just got a little bit more jacked, I mean, he would look like a guy that fine. He's main eventer guaranteed, no doubt. Also, I was watching Rampage last week, and then there's this little thing again, little things, this little. You had the match Penelope Ford and Anna Jay, and then in the end, Penelope Ford, Anna Jay, sorry, the bunny distracted the ref, and then she threw the brass knucks, and then Penelope Ford, boom, nails Anna Jay. She got the brass knucks, and then she wins, and then in the end, though. Her and the bunny are putting the boots down at Jay, and I'm thinking, is that really necessary? Do you need to do that after you just smack somebody with brass knucks, and then boom, Ty Conti comes running out, and then there's the whole thing with the whole Hardy family office coming out, and then the whole Orange Cassidy comes out, and the Dark Order dudes come out, and I don't think it was that. Oh shit, was necessary because the whole putting the boots to her thing after you've just nailed her with the brass knucks. I mean, do you really need to do that? They could have gone about it, booked it a little bit better, in my opinion. And then you had Ruby Soho and Britt Baker, and Britt Baker wins. So it wasn't entirely clean. You had, was it Reba, Rebel, whatever, distract the ref, and then you had Jamie Hayter, boom, nail Soho, and then Britt. What was it again? Was it the lockjaw move, or I think it was the lockjaw? Yeah, but in the end, Ruby Soho wins the match. Sorry, Britt Baker wins, retains the title. I don't know about that. I mean, I think Ruby Soho has just come in the company. She wins. And I don't know. I mean, I just won that battle royal, and then 2 weeks ago, she beats Jamie Hayter, and Jamie Hayter's just come in. She's kind of like Britt Baker's muscle now. I don't know about that, but you have Hayter jobbing out so early on to her in her time in AEW, and then you've got freaking, you got Ruby Soho losing so soon to her time in AEW. I'm so big on that. You had last week in the Dynamite, you had Brian Danielson and Kenny Omega. Overall, it was a long match. It was a 45-minute time limit draw. Overall, it was an entertaining match. Overall, the whole thing about that whole run up that from the entranceway down to the when he's just out by the ring to do that that V-trigger move. I mean, I don't know about that because really if you really hit somebody with that move, I mean, boom, that could be their career over, almost their life over. But yeah, Brian was able to get back up and then do that. I'm not sure of that move. To me, that if you're hitting somebody with that move, boom, that's it. It's over. It's over. The match is over. And then there was a couple of moves that, I mean, a couple of close calls with some of these suplexes and stuff like that. I mean, we're booming. You got to be careful. I mean, or Brian, you got to watch. I mean, or else Brian's breaking his freaking neck again. I mean, it was just watching that. It was just like, oh, gee. But overall, though, those guys had a good match. And was that really the match to have to go in first? I mean, that's debatable. But I mean, that was probably a match that the fans were really excited for the most. But was it the right call to have that match be the first match? I'm not sure, because by the time I got to the main event, I didn't watch the Britt Baker Ruby Soho match. I mean, for one, I just knew I would say about 8% degree of certainty I knew that Britt Baker was going to win and retain. And at that point, it was really late in that year, and I was just getting tired really early in the morning. And then that was that. When it came to the main event, I didn't watch it. So maybe the right call would have been to have Danielson and Omega as the main event. Because if that's me, if I'm saying that, then maybe there's a lot of other people that felt that way as well. It's like, nah, I can't be bothered watching the main event. Can't be bothered watching Baker and Soho. So yeah. But also, another thing I just want to touch on briefly, you had Seth Rollins, he was on the Broken Skull sessions with Stone Cold, and Rollins. There's one big use piece was that Rollins was really, it was when it was the Hell in a Cell match 2 years ago, and Seth wanted to basically, in his words, strangle Vince McMahon for the booking in that match. Now, I mean, I get that. I mean, the booking wasn't great. There was a few different things that issues there. I think for me, I mean, for one, the whole thing of it was the whole way of, you had Rollins, was it nail Wyatt, was it with 4 curb stomps, that's his finisher, and then Wyatt kicks out at 1, and then and then on top of that, you have him hit him with chairs, you have him hit him with sledgehammers, and then Wyatt's kicking out at 1, maybe at 2. I mean, that was just overkill. You know what I mean? Even for the people who are big fans of Wyatt, the Fiend, you'd be like, nah, man, that's way too much. That's way too much. I mean, okay, it'd be one thing for him to kick out at 2 on a curb stomp, but then when there's 3 or 4 and it's at 1, I mean, it's like you're killing him. You're killing Rollins. And yeah, I mean, I can understand Rollins for being real pissed off Vince, and basically, yeah, he wanted to strangle him. I think it was Tyson Kidd had to hold him back. But I mean, the one thing I'll say on that though is that I remember watching that clips of that Hell in a Cell match, and it was with my dad. And my dad, I guess you could call a casual fan. I mean, he watched wrestling when he was a kid, but he hasn't watched wrestling really and followed it properly for years. And then he's watching it, and it's at the part where I think Rollins has got the chairs, and then Wyatt's underneath the chairs, and then he's got the sledgehammer, and you nail the sledgehammer with off with the chairs. And then my dad's like, "Why isn't the ref stopping the match?" That's what my dad said. You could put him; he's like a casual fan. So that's the one thing. Like, a lot of people shit on this finish with the whole thing of the ref stopping a match. He stopped the Hell in a Cell match, but at the same time, for a lot of these casual fans, when they're watching this guy practically get killed, he's getting nailed with chairs and sledgehammers, they maybe would be saying this to themselves. Like my dad was saying, why isn't the referee stopping the match? But of course, the smart fans hated that. They hated pretty much everything about it. Even in the end when Wyatt, got back up and then had Seth, was it, and the Rollins and the Mandible Claw. I mean, they didn't give a shit. They just thought it was horrible, and they probably wanted Wyatt to win. But even still, they just thought the booking of this was horrible, and a lot of people did. And I definitely had issues with it. I don't think I was as outraged about it as the smart marks were. But that's the thing. That's something interesting. I just thought I'd tell you. I mean, a casual fan of my dad was like, "Well, why isn't the ref stopping the match?" But as the smart fans, it's like, no. Hell in a Cell, you don't stop a Hell in a Cell match, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I think there was also Rollins was talking about in that interview with stuff about Rollins was saying about how he early on he butted heads with Triple H and NXT, he claims, and this may be just him exaggerating a bit, but he was saying that Triple H almost threatened to fire him or something. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But I mean, Rollins is, I mean, he has no problem. He's just like, yeah, I mean, Rollins pitched to win the NXT inaugural NXT title or whatever, and then pitched to win their Continental title. So he has no problem just saying, hey man, hey, I want to be in the title match. And, I think he also touched on Lesnar. Lesnar, he was able to earn his respect after buying him a pack of, what was it, Coors Lights after the WrestleMania 2 years ago, and talking about how he wanted to do all this cool stuff in a match for Lesnar, but Lesnar didn't really want to do it. I know Ambrose and Moxley has told a similar story, but then Lesnar was explaining that he just found out, whether he was bullshitting or not, he could have been, but he found out that he was going to be working with Taker. Taker was going to come in, and because there was that whole thing of what was that again? Well, Taker was coming back, and I guess it was after Lesnar beat Taker at WrestleMania 30. And it looked like at that point, like Taker was going to be the heel, and he was kind of heelish early on, but then it kind of almost went back to Lesnar being the heel. But anyway, though, yeah, Rollins had been saying how he had to earn Lesnar's respect, and understandably so. I mean, Lesnar had been around for a long time. Lesnar's 44 now, and Lesnar debuted back in 2002. So yeah, I mean, a guy like Brock Lesnar at the level he's at, Rollins, he was going to have to earn his respect, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, overall, guys, this is my first, proper kind of live stream, just talking about wrestling. I want to do a few other things. I'd recommend maybe checking out some of my other stuff on YouTube, talking a little bit about kind of interested in just kind of like how human beings can operate. I've done a couple of videos on people who, and they're kind of clowns who latch onto people. I would check that out and see, you could get something from that. Done a little rant on how I think WWE really does suck right now. There can be a couple more parts to come in that. And also, I like to, I write rap lyrics, and I've got a couple of rap songs that I put out as well. So I'd recommend checking that stuff out. I'm going to be coming back with a few more videos. It could be anything that, just whatever I feel like talking about at the time, from wrestling, music, movies, just, whether it's human psychology, whatever, whatever I feel like talking about. But overall, guys, when you watch this, I hope you enjoyed it. And like I say, I'll be back. So stay tuned. Take care. Peace.